So this morning we're going to start off in a nice supported heart opener. So I'm going to get you to grab a bolster or 2 pillows and 2 smaller cushions, which are like lounge cushions. If you like, have your blanket as well if you feel cold. So 2 big pillows or a foam roller so that it can support your whole torso. Okay. So sorry, Sarah. We're just gonna keep feathering your knees and just breathe into your hips and release the hips. Okay, I want you to have a nice support behind you as well. So maybe even like a pillow, like pillows that are gonna like bed pillows. Perfect. Okay, yeah, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna come into butterfly, and we're gonna have the big cushion long one behind us against our back, and the 2 smaller ones are gonna be next to our hips. And we're just feathering the knees up and down in butterfly, just checking in with the body, checking with how your hips are feeling this morning. Are they feeling open? Are they feeling tight? Okay, and I'm going to lengthen the spine, roll the shoulders away from the ears. I'm going to bring the hands behind us, and then this time we're going to now bend the knees, bring your knees together and feet to the edges of the mat. So this is just going to give us a little bit more space through the lumbar spine or the lower back as we come into our pose. Okay, and then from here, you're going to bring your hands behind you, hugging your belly in towards the spine, and then gently roll yourself down onto your forearms, and then relaxing the back of your head down onto the cushions. And then from here, notice sometimes if you've got hair at the back of your head, no one does, tuck your chin into the chest. So notice if you're arching a lot and compressing the back of your neck, I want you to open up through the back of your neck so you can feel that your chin is no higher than the forehead. And then from here, just bring your hands up by your shoulders, roll the shoulders away from the ears, bring your hands up. So notice if your shoulders are crunching, roll the shoulders down away from the ears. And then tuck your tailbone under and then relax down onto the floor. So we're creating lots more space through the lower back. So tuck the tailbone under and then relax it back down. So we want to make sure you're feeling no compression through that lumbar area. Okay, from here, you can have your hands either by your hips. So widen your shoulder girdle, slide those shoulders back down away from the ears into their sockets. You can rest your hands by your hips, maybe turn the palms of your hands facing up. And that's just going to help us to open up through the heart center. Okay, and then you can keep your feet like this, your knees like this, if you're feeling a little bit of compression through the lumbar spine. Otherwise, you can maybe straighten your legs out, or maybe bring the soles of the feet together and then allow the knees to melt out to the side and come back into a butterfly position. So this will open the chest as well as open up through the hips. So find which position is going to feel most comfortable for your body this morning. So you can have your knees bent, and then if your knees are bent, knees are touching, but your feet are to the edges of your mat. So when we hold our feet like that, that just gives us that little bit more space because the tops of the thighs are rolling in, and that's giving us space through the lower back. And so notice if your shoulders are up like this, I want you to widen the shoulder girdle and then roll those shoulders back down and slide your elbows a little bit further back down towards your hips. That's it. So you want to feel this really nice opening through the chest. And then closing down the eyes. And then we're just going to take a few moments here just to soften and just bringing your focus and awareness a little bit deeper into your body and into your breath. So we should feel really nice and supported. Should be no crunching or through the bones in the lower back. And then just starting to deepen the breaths as you inhale, starting to breathe all the way down into your hips, into your belly. Starting to feel that expansion of the belly like a balloon. And then from the belly, just starting to fill up the full capacity of your lungs. From the bottom, middle, top, front, side and back, breathing into the heart. Maybe another breath into the throat. And then as you exhale, just gently starting to soften through your hips. If your knees are together, start to widen out and soften through your hip crease. If your knees are to the sides, just allowing the knees to melt that little bit further to the mat. And then softening up through the abdomen. Softening up through your chest and your shoulders, maybe starting to widen out across your shoulder girdle at the back. Perhaps starting to broaden through the collarbones at the front. As you soften through the shoulders, maybe you can slide your shoulder blades a little bit further down the sides of the spine at the back. Maybe starting to turn the palms of the hands facing up, fingers lightly curled, and just feeling that opening up through the heads of your shoulders, opening up through the chest and the heart center. Deepening the breath. Softening from your shoulders, softening up through your neck and throat. Unclenching the jaw. Starting to soften up through the face. Softening through the cheeks, through the eyes and the eyebrow center. And just keeping the tip of your tongue gently resting on the roof of the mouth, just behind the two front teeth, so your energy circuit's connected. And just see if you can slow down and deepen the breath. So as we start to slow and deepen the breath, we're starting to calm the mind and the central nervous system. With every inhalation, we're focusing on that feeling of expansion through the body. Flooding the body from the hips all the way up into the collarbones, starting to flood all the muscles, all the organs, all the cells of the body with fresh oxygen and energy. And as you exhale, just continue to soften and release, letting go of any tension or tightness with the out breath. Letting go of any thoughts. If they're important, they'll be there for you later. Otherwise, just letting them go. Create space. Something new. And as you just continue to melt down and soften, softening down, and just imagining that your pillows or your cushions are just rising up to meet you and hold you. Just putting aside this next little while for yourself in your practice. Deep, nourishing breath, every inhalation, focusing on that feeling of expansion through the body. And as you exhale, just continuing to soften and release. And just check in with your body. Notice if you're still holding on to any tension, your jaw, through your shoulders. If you like, maybe just doing a couple of sighs. So as you inhale, inhaling through the nose, nice, deep, beautiful breath. As you exhale, just allow the jaw to soften. This, just letting everything melt down. Let everything go, just softening down. Just feeling really supported by your props. And after you've done a few sighs, just gently closing the mouth, lips slightly touching, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, and just continuing to deepen the breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Just checking in with the body, so just deepen that breath, just once again starting to calm the mind and the central nervous system. You notice there's still a little bit of tension, or you're feeling that the breath is still not that soft. Maybe we can start to inhale for the count of 4 nice deep counts. And then as you exhale, just exhaling for the count of 8. So letting go. As you inhale, maybe starting to visualize your breath like this beautiful white light and energy. Breathing that in, all that beautiful pranic energy, that life force energy of the universe. Drawing that down into all the cells, the atoms of your body. Just feeling that expansion. And as you exhale, just exhaling out any worries, any thoughts, any tension. Allowing yourself to let go, giving yourself permission to let go. Just giving yourself more space within the body to breathe and to move. Just retaining that breath to a nice, deep, yogic breath. Just allowing the breath to flow naturally. Letting the body from the hips all the way up into the collarbones with every inhale. As you exhale, just continue to soften and melt. And just check in with your body. Notice, maybe do a quick internal scan. Notice any areas where you might still be holding on to tension or feeling tight. If you are, just breathing into those spaces. Breathe into those tight areas. Start to visualize in your mind's eye and starting to open and expand. And as you exhale, sending a message from your mind to that area just to soften and release. To deepen your awareness with your body. See where you might be holding on to tension. Notice if you have released a little bit. And so a lot of times we tend to hold tension around our jaw, around our shoulders, and just softening the jaw. If your shoulders feel like they've released a little bit, maybe from your hips, you can start to take your arms out to the sides of your shoulders and then starting to open up through the chest a little bit. Or maybe starting, if that feels, if you want a little bit more, you can maybe take your hands up above your head and then maybe holding onto your elbows. And as you exhale, starting to soften and open up through the chest and the heart. Take a few more breaths here. If that creates tension in the shoulders, just keep them by the hands by the shoulders or by the hips. And then maybe if it feels okay for your back, maybe just straightening the legs out. So we're just opening up through the hips a little bit more. And just swapping the hands around, whichever, if you're holding onto the elbow, so whichever hand you have on top, swapping that over. Taking a few more nice, deep, beautiful breaths here into the body. When you're ready, let's gently start to wiggle the toes and then reaching up. And bend the knees, and then from here we're just going to gently drop the knees to the sides. Bring your hand down by your shoulder, and then hug your belly into the spine as we gently roll off the pillows. I'm going to roll that pillow out of the way, or the props, and then from here roll yourself nice and flat back down onto your back. Okay, we're going to come back into a neutral position for 1 minute just to allow the spine to reset. And we're just going to come into Shavasana. So we're going to keep the back of your neck nice and long. So trying to keep the chin no higher than the forehead so that the back of the neck is open so your energy can flow. And the feet are roughly just a little bit wider than hip width, letting the feet pull out to the side so your hips can relax. Bring the hands by the hips. And then you can turn the palms of your hands facing up. So once again, we're opening up through the chest, the head of the shoulders, and the heart center. Keeping the back of the neck long. And then just softening down, closing down the eyes, and just taking some nice, deep, beautiful breaths here into the body. So I've got my head turned to the side so I can see you guys, but if you like, you can have your head nice and straight. Maybe roll the shoulders away from the ears. If you need more space through your lower back, you can just tuck your tailbone under, relax it back down onto the floor. And so keeping everything nice and neutral, just deepening the breath and just tuning into your body here. And just check in with how you're feeling, noticing these subtle changes. So we've been in that last shape for a little while. So sometimes as we stay in a shape for a little while, the parasympathetic nervous system can kick in. So just tune in, checking out how you're feeling. And then just also because it's been in back bend, just allowing the spine to reset and come back into neutral. Taking more breath or two, and when you're ready, bring the movement back into your body. Just gently wriggling the fingers and the toes, and then circling the wrists and the ankles a few times in one direction, back the other way, and make a little figure eight, and back the other way. All right. And then from here, bend the knees, widening out through the hips, hug your knees in towards the chest, and just gently rock yourself from side to side, massaging out through the back. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. As you rock from side to side, start to widen out across your hip crease. So sometimes our hips are all to do with our grounding, and sometimes we hold a lot of tension in our hips, especially if we're sitting for long periods of time. As you rock from side to side, lengthen your sit bones down towards the long end of the mat. And just starting to feel a nice release out through the back. And releasing the knees, stack your knees over the hips, start to feel the weight of the hips in their sockets. And we're just gently going to circle the knees a few times in one direction. Getting a nice massage out through your back, and then gently back the other way. And then from here, take the knees apart, circle them both in opposite directions. So just breathing into the hips. So circle the knees both in towards each other, so bring the knees apart, and we want to, so we go both together and then both the other way, and then we take the knees apart and circle them both in towards each other. So you're feeling that through the hips and breathing into the hips, and then back the other way. All right, from here, bring your feet back onto the ground, take your hands out at shoulder height, palms facing down, and then ground into your feet, pop your hips slightly across to your left, ground into your left shoulder, keep the shoulders away from the ears, inhale, exhale, belly hugs in, and dropping the knees to the right. Eye gaze wherever is comfortable, so if your back's open, you can look into your extended arm. If anyone is going to watch this as a replay and you're pregnant, just keep your head facing the knees. Otherwise, you can look to the opposite direction, you can look to the ceiling, or you can look into the same direction as your hand. And then keeping the belly hugging to the spine as we inhale, lengthening from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. As you exhale, hug your belly in and gently just melting the knees a little bit further across that right side. So we're feeling that stretch across the back. Keep your left shoulder on the mat. And then if you want a little bit more, inhale into that left shoulder, ground it back down. And as you exhale, hug your belly in and take your top knee a little bit higher up towards your opposite elbow. And then as you exhale, belly hugs in. We're just melting that elbow, that left knee down towards the floor. So that's just going to stack your hips a little bit more, and you're going to feel a little bit more opening across the back. Keep the belly hugging to the spine. One more breath here. And then when you're ready, inhale, bring that knee in, come back to center, feet in the middle, hips in the middle, hug the knees in and rock from side to side. So bring the knees and back the other way. And then let's come up to the other side. So bring the feet back in line with your head. And from here, we're just popping the hips across towards the right. Inhale, and then as you exhale, belly hugs in, dropping the knees to the other side. And then from here, keep your right shoulder on the floor. So notice that right shoulder is coming off the mat. If it is, then bring your knees a little bit lower down. So eye gaze wherever is comfortable. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, hug the belly in, and then keeping that right shoulder grounded, maybe taking your top knee a little bit higher up towards the opposite elbow. So we want to use the shoulder as the anchor for this twist. If you want, you can maybe extend that leg out and stretch out through the hamstring as well. But if you notice that that's and your hamstring's tight, if the leg comes down here, then just keep the knee bent. So we're just feeling that nice release out through the back. Deepening the twist. And then when you're ready, hug the belly in. Inhale back to center. Feet in the middle, hips in the middle, hug the knees into the chest and rock from side to side. And just checking how you're feeling, circling the knees one way, other way. And the knees apart, circle them opposite directions. And back the other way. All right. From here, you can hold on to the backs of your knees or maybe cross your feet at the ankles, pistol grip your two big toes. Keep the chin tucked into the chest. And then we're going to make a little ball and we're just going to rock back and forth. So you can make a ball either by holding onto your knees or you cross the feet at the ankles and make a pistol grip, meaning that you make a little gun with your hand and you hold onto your big toe. So your index and your middle finger come in between the big toe on the outside. Yep. So you're holding onto your big toes there. So take your hands outside of your knees. So your other hand, yep. So, yep. And you're holding onto the toes. Okay. Keep the chin tucked in. Belly hugs into the spine and we're just making a little ball as we rock back and forth. And then get that momentum and then roll yourself all the way up. Awesome. Okay. Let's come up onto our knees for a moment. We're going to come into tabletop, but before we do that, we're just going to practice our flow through. So hands out in front of us, and we're just going to draw two little circles with our hands. Okay, so the circles are keeping the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders parallel. Okay. So rather than this way, we want to bring the hands in. So making two little circles, meaning that we have this parallel line in line with our shoulders. So bring the hands, I'm going to practice this. So hands in line with the shoulders, and then we're going to bring the hands in. So your elbows hug the ribs, and then we're bringing the hands down and around. So this is our flow through. So you're drawing these two circles where your wrists, elbows, and shoulders all stay in one line. Okay, now we want to engage the chest and the back. So we're not moving our shoulders all the way in around, but we want to try to keep those shoulders in their sockets. And to bring the hands in, we want to engage our traps. So we're squeezing in between the shoulder blades and feel how that brings. So we keep the chest and the back active. squeezing the backs of your shoulder blades, and you feel how that brings your hands in. Now you want to keep your elbows close to the ribs. So we want to engage our lats as we flow ourselves through. So imagine that your ribs and your armpits and your ribs are like a butterfly clip, and they're clipping in towards the midline of the body. And as you engage that and squeeze that in, you should feel your wrists coming back out. So squeezing in between the shoulder blades to bring the hands in, and then squeezing the armpits in to bring the hands back out. So just practicing that motion and then drawing those two nice fluid circles. Okay, one more here, and then let's release, shake it out. All right, let's come up into tabletop. We'll do a few cat cows. So coming up onto all fours, wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Keep your hands shoulder width apart, knees and feet hip width apart, keeping the toes untouched, keeping the pelvic floor active, belly hugs into the spine and the chest is active. Lengthening up through the spine, inhale, exhale, tuck your tailbone under, belly to the spine to the ceiling. Opening up through the shoulders, tuck your chin into the chest and point the crown of your head to the mat. As you inhale, keep the hips nice and wide, keep the tailbone rolling under as you start to arch, and then lengthening up through the spine, vertebra at a time. Dropping the belly, reaching the heart forwards, and then shoulders away from the ears, squeezing through the backs of your shoulder blades and eye gaze to the ceiling the neck allows. So moving with the breath as you exhale, curling under. Pushing the spread breath out through the back. And then as you inhale, lengthening and arching, opening up through the front. So keep the tailbone rolling under, keep the belly hugging into the spine. I'm starting to imagine that your spine is like a bike chain. So from the base of the spine, you want to feel one link moves, then the next, then the next, then the next, then the next, all the way up to the crown of the head. Think about the articulation of the spine and keeping the core active so you're supporting the side. And so we're not just dropping the belly and the chest hinging from the joints and the shoulders and the hips, but we're really starting to create a little bit more space in between each vertebrae as we go that little bit deeper with each breath. All right, let's do one more here. So after on your next inhalation, we're going to stay in our arch shape. We're going to roll the shoulders away from the ears, squeezing through the backs of your shoulder blades as you bring your chest down. Keep the elbows hugging the ribs. And we're going to squeeze our armpits in as we slide our hips forwards. So bring the chest down and then squeeze your armpits in, slide your hips forwards. Okay, bring your elbows underneath the shoulders, come into Sphinx. So from here, our forearms are parallel and extend all the way out through your toes, and then draw your knees up into the thighs. So let the tops of your thighs roll in towards each other so you feel length through the lower back. Tailbone rolls under, and then belly hugs into the spine as we lengthen the heart forwards. Inhale here, exhale, widen the shoulders, slide the shoulders back down away from the ears into their sockets. Feel that opening up through your heart center. As you keep the tailbone rolling under and letting the tops of your thighs roll in, you should feel a nice release out through your lower back. So we're feeling a stretch through our hips, our abdomen, our solar plexus, and the heart. And then breathing into the heart, keep the shoulders sliding down the back, squeezing through the backs of your shoulder blades, engaging your TBA, so from hip to hip, that band where your undies sit. Roll that back towards your bum, so you're feeling lots of length through the lower back. But yet we're feeling a squeeze through the kidneys and the adrenals at the back. Lengthening the heart forwards, keep the shoulders sliding down away from the ears, tailbone still rolls under. We're looking over our right shoulder towards your left heel, and you're feeling a bit more of a squeeze through the kidneys and adrenals on that side, but we're not feeling any crunching through the lower back. Inhale, belly hugs in, back to the head, back to center. Exhale, keep the tailbone rolling under and looking over the other shoulder. Inhale, back up. Exhale to the first side. A nice slow movement. Keep the tailbone rolling under, inhale back. Exhale, second side. Inhaling back. One more on each side. Exhaling back, keep the tailbone rolling under, squeezing through the backs of your shoulder blade. Inhale, exhale, last one. Inhale back, exhale, bring the head down. Bring your wrist underneath your shoulders. Inhale, exhale, fall back into child's pose. So bring your big toes together. Your knees can be together out wide. And then just gently resting the forehead on the mat and swaying your hips from side to side, getting a nice little stretch out through your back. Inhale, expanding out through the four corners of your back. As you exhale, just softening through your hips, your belly, and your chest. Keep widening out across your hip crease, and as you sway the hips from side to side, feel that nice release. Ground back into the hips, lengthen up through the spine, widen through your shoulders, and then slide your shoulders back down away from the ears into their sockets. Okay, this is where you can always come back into child's pose at any time if you need to. When you're ready, we're going to tuck the tailbone under, roll back up, tuck the toes under, and then we're going to come up into down dog. So inhale, sorry, as you exhale, you're going to lift up to through your heels, lift your hips towards the sky, and push your weight of your hips back towards the wall behind you. So lift up onto your tiptoes, and then bend your knees and fold your belly to your thighs. So you're feeling a squeeze through your hips, and then all the weight is in the hips, pushing your hips back towards the wall behind you. Sway your hips from side to side. Get a really nice stretch out across the back. Keep the belly hugging to the spine, drawing your lower ribs back up towards the hips. So we're feeling like the energy and the weight lifting back into the hips. Hips and the tops of your thigh bones are pushing back. And then from here, let's gently walk the legs out. Try not to walk the hands and the feet in. As you inhale, bend the knee, bring your thigh to the torso. So you feel the stretch out through the arch of your foot. As you exhale, keep pushing the weight of the hip back towards the wall behind you as you lengthen the heel to the mat. So opening out through the posterior fascial lines, opening up through the hamstrings, back to the knees, stretching out through your calves, your Achilles, and opening through the soles of the feet. Maybe just gently shaking your head from side to side, nodding it up and down, release the neck, eye gaze to the belly, so the back of the neck is long. Okay, one more breath here. When you're ready, come up onto your tiptoes, tuck your tailbone under. Imagine that your knees are sliding up your thighs. And we want to roll ourselves forward one vertebra at a time, coming into plank. Okay, bend your knees, and then we're going to arch ourselves from the base all the way back into down dog. Tuck your tailbone under, roll yourself forward into plank. So we're not swiveling from the hip, but we're rounding the spine. So come back onto your knees, and you can watch what I'm doing for a moment. So from here, I want you to roll forward and then bend the knees and arch it back. So you want to feel the articulation of the spine rather than doing this, because this is hinging from the hip, right? So I want you to roll it forward and then bend the knees and arch it back. So we want to do 5 of these here. If this is too much, come back onto your knees, and then you can have your toes tucked under and then rolling up into tabletop. And then from here, you're arching it back. Keep rolling the armpits inwards. So feeling that rounding forwards and then arching back. One more here. All right, and then come forward and then come through your flow and come back up, either into Sphinx or Baby Cobra. Okay, active Cobra. Now we're going to bring our hands out to the sides of our shoulders, elbows reaching to the sky. Okay, reaching out through the toes, tailbone rolls under. Inhale, lengthening the heart forward, roll the shoulders away from the ears, squeezing through the backs of your shoulder blades. Now have your fingertips touching the earth, and you want to feel, imagine that have your palms off the ground. So rather than flat hands, I want you to feel like you are reaching, like you're holding a cupcake. So your fingertips are touching, but you want to draw up through the palms of the hands and then extending that out through your elbows. Keep the tailbone rolling under, squeezing through the backs of your shoulders. So we're looking like this, okay? And making sure that we're rolling the tailbone back down, not feeling any crunching through the lower back. Inhale here, exhale down. Inhale from the toes reaching up, squeezing through the backs of your shoulder blades. Keep lifting up through the palms of your hands. Exhale down. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale it down. 2 more here. As you inhale, draw the breath from the toes all the way up through the spine. Shoulders sliding down the back. You can feel the eye gaze is ceiling. Exhaling down. 1 more here. Inhaling, open, breathe into the heart. Keep the tailbone rolling under. Exhale back down. Hands underneath the shoulders. Inhale, exhale, down dog. Or child's pose. Stretch out through your back. Keep widening through the hips, pushing the weight back into the hips, and then swaying the hips from side to side, walking out through the legs. Okay, so from here, we're going to come into 3-legged cat or 3-legged dog. We're just going to do a little quick flow. Okay, so if you want, turn sideways, so it's a little bit easier to see, and you can just turn your head to the side to watch. Okay, so from here, you have the option of doing 3-legged cat or 3-legged dog. So 3-legged cat is on our tabletop, and you're going to take, when I say leg goes back, and then this is closed hip when your toes pointing to the floor. Okay, meaning that the hip only comes as high as the heel only comes as high as the hip. All right. And then open hip, meaning that the hips open. You're going to trace a circle, hug the belly in, and bring the knee forwards. Okay, so this is three-legged cat. Three-legged dog looks like this, where you're in down dog. So you can be on your toes if you like. So this is closed hip, meaning that my heel only comes as high as my hip because my toes are pointing down and my hips are closed. Open hip, and my toes are pointing out and my hip is open. Then we're going to bend the knee, point the toes, trace a circle, and then we're going to roll it forward. Okay, so find your option here, three-legged cat or three-legged dog. We're going to take the left leg, inhale, extend that left foot back. Push out through your heel, draw your toes back towards you, square your hip. Open hip, point the toes, bend the knee. Bending the knee, square the shoulders, belly hugs in. We're going to trace a circle and then keep the belly hugging in as we roll forwards, knee to the same side, elbow or armpit. Inhale, extend that heel back. Push out through the heel, open hip, point the toes, bend the knee, square the shoulders, belly hugs in, trace a circle, knee comes to the opposite elbow or armpit. Inhale, extend that back. Open hip, point the toes, bend the knee, square the shoulders. Trace the circle, bring that knee forward, knee to nose or forehead. Inhale it back. Open hip, point the toes, bend the knee, square the shoulders. Belly hugs in, trace a circle, step that foot forward in between your hands. So bring that foot forwards and then have your knee stacked above your ankle. Option one is to come into warrior one legs with your back heel down. Option two, high lunge with coming onto the back toe. Okay, make sure that knee is stacked above the ankle, push down into your big toe pad of the front foot. If you like, you can have your back heel grounded. Square your hips the short end of the mat. Inhale, coming up, high lunge, warrior one. Okay, so push into the big toe pad of your front foot, make sure your knee's not wobbling in or out. Lifting, if you're lunging, lift up through that back heel, and then engage that back calf, draw the knee up into the thigh, engage your quads, maybe come a little bit lower. Roll your tailbone under, and then bring your hands together, keep the tailbone rolling under, tops of thighs are rolling in, belly hugs in, squeeze your glutes, and maybe do a little back bend here. Opening up, crescent lunge, through the heart. Okay, exhale, ground that back heel, let's come into warrior two. Okay, so from here, have your back foot facing towards me or facing forwards or on a little angle facing forward. Front foot in line with the arch of the back foot, and then octopus feet. Spread your feet nice and wide, open the toes and feel like you're gripping into the earth. Make sure your front knee is stacked above the ankle. So if you need to, you can bring that foot a little bit further forward. Pushing down on the outside edge of that back foot, lifting through the inside arch, suck that knee into the thigh, and then maybe opening that right hip. Tuck your tailbone under, and then open that front knee out to the left-hand corner of the mat. So making sure that your knee is always tracking over your second toe. Pelvic floor is active, lengthening up through the spine, relax the shoulders, take your arms out. Looking forward as you exhale, sink into the legs. Okay. Awesome. All right. From here, I'm going to turn the front palm face up. Inhale back, sun warrior, opening up through those front ribs. Backhand is just resting on the back thigh, or maybe take that backhand around. So we're going to keep tucking the tailbone under, eye gaze up into the fingertips. So you're feeling that opening up through that left side of the body. Exhale it forwards, extended angle. Option one, you can bring your hand to rest on your knee, but try not to collapse through your obliques. So maybe just straighten that arm, hand reaching to the ceiling. So you want to feel the energy, it's like reaching upwards. Okay, and then take that option two, maybe you ground into your back heel and reach that top hand out in line with the back heel. Imagine you're standing in between two planes of glass. So feel this beautiful opening through that top line. And then hug the belly in, inhale it back, sun warrior. Moving from the core, keep that front knee bent, reaching that front knee out to the left-hand corner of your mat. Exhale it forwards, extended angle. And one more here, inhaling back, and then exhale it forwards. All right, from here, triangles, so come back up, straighten the legs, turn your front palm face up, and both legs are straight. Drawing up through the insides of your legs, and then imagine you're standing between two planes of glass. So we're going to look forwards, and then you're going to inhale, reach your hands forward. Exhale, windmill the arms. Okay, so keep pushing down, grounding into your feet, lifting up through the insides of your legs. As you draw up to the hips, roll the tops of your thighs in towards each other, and then lengthening out through your spine, rolling your bottom ribs forwards. And then if your hand is all the way on the ground, you can take your hand to the outside. Reach the energy upwards. Otherwise, just resting the hand wherever it's comfortable. So the energy is reaching up, energizing through the body. Inhale, reach that top hand forwards. Okay, from here, you're going to widen out through that right hip and bring the hands down. Okay, bend into that front knee a little bit now. So pyramid or half split. So from here, you have the option of maybe coming back onto your back knee and then squaring the hips and drawing the hips back to get a nice stretch out through the hamstring of that left leg. Otherwise, maybe just bring that heel in a little bit, squaring the hips, keep the front knee bent a little bit if you need to, and then just feeling that stretch out through the hamstring of your front leg. Try not to lock into the knee joints, so we want to draw the knee up into the thigh. If it's a little bit tight here, so option one, so you can inhale, maybe just coming up, lifting up, keeping belly on tight, exhale, back doing a few of these for mobility. So as you inhale, keep your fingertips on the ground and then reach the heart up, exhale it back. Once if you're in pyramid, you can start to inhale up and then exhale down. You can inhale, lifting up and then lengthen the spine and then exhale. Keep drawing that left hip back into the socket. So we're just feeling that opening through the hamstring on the front leg. Okay. When you're ready, after we've done a few of these, just melt down, take a couple of breaths in whatever variation that you're in. So we're melting forwards and feeling that stretch. So rather than sitting all the way back and just feel straightening the leg, I want you to start, Sarah, you're going to fold into that hip and then just feel it. Keep your belly on the thigh and only come as far as is comfortable. So we're not pushing into our joints. And we're just breathing into the back of that front leg. And then let's bring that foot down, bring your hands forwards, and then step your back foot to the front of your mat. Feet can be hip width to start, bend the knees, and then melt your belly into the thighs, come into a nice easy forward fold. Coming into ragdoll, so just release the back of your neck. So stay in the pose, because sometimes when I'm in the position and I can't see all this, and I feel like I just want to relax in the position. So for me to cue better, I just come up and so I can see everyone. All right, so keep your hips nice and wide. And then you want to melt the belly onto the thighs and relax the back of your neck so your cerebral spinal fluid can flow. And when I'm in this position, my voice goes funny as well. So I'm going to bring my head up. But for you guys, relax the back of your head and then just shake your head from side to side. Let the crown of your head melt to the floor and then just gently nod your head up and down. Make some little figure eights with your shoulders, your upper back, releasing out through the back. And then from the shoulders, upper back, middle back, lower back and sacrum, maybe swaying the hips from side to side. Keep the belly hugging into the spine. And then when you're ready, let's bend the knees, tuck your tailbone under pelvic floor lifts, belly hugs in. Roll yourself back up one vertebra at a time. Lengthen up through the crown, shoulders away from the ears. Take the hands up to the sides. Inhale, gathering the energy of the universe. Exhale, bring the hands back to the prayer in the heart. Keep the spine long, shoulders relaxed away from the ears, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Just taking a couple of nice deep breaths here. Allowing the breath and the energy to return to normal. Okay, let's have the toes facing forward. So the outside edges of your feet are parallel to the long end of your mat. So this, by having our feet slightly pigeon-toed and both facing forwards, that's going to give us a little bit more space through the lower back. Okay, exhale, release the hands. Inhale, gathering energy. Exhale, bend the knees, widen the hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway. So bring your hands onto the shins. And I turn sideways all the time, so Sarah, you can just keep facing me. And just keep facing the same direction if you like. Okay, I just turn back and forth so you can see me. Just stay, you can stay in the same position if you like. Okay, so when you bring your hands onto your shins, widen out through your hips and your collarbones. As you inhale, you're lengthening the spine, and then as you exhale, shoulders away from the ears and keep widening through the hips and the collarbones. So rest your hands onto your shins to start. And then you want to feel this nice release up through the back. So make sure your back is flat and maybe a little bit arched rather than round. So if your back feels round, then bend your knees and keep lengthening the heart forward. So this is the lower back release. Exhale down. Inhale, bend the knees, leading with the heart to back bend. So head comes up, heart comes up. Roll the tops of your thighs in, hands along the sides. Modified back bend. Exhale. So option one is take your hands, interlace your hands behind your back. Option two, hands on hips. Option three, bring the heels of your hands for support. Option four, bring the palms of the hands facing up. Okay, so if you have your hands behind you, try to lift up through the spine and then roll your shoulders away from the ears, squeeze your elbows back behind you. So it's opening up through the thoracic or the upper back rather than crunching to the lower back. Lift up through the insides of your legs, tuck your tailbone under, roll the tops of your thighs in, draw your hips forward and lean your shoulders back. Let's take 5 deep, beautiful breaths here into the front of the body. As you inhale, keep opening up through the front. As you exhale, maybe rolling the tailbone under, squeezing those elbows back behind you. Make sure you don't feel any crunching through the lumbar spine. When you're ready, inhale, belly hugs in, coming back up. Exhale, bend the knees, widen the hips. Keep that TBA band really active, hug the belly in and then forward fold. Inhale, halfway, release out of your lower back. So lengthening the heart forward, keep widening through the hips. Hands onto the shins. And then from here, exhale, hands behind. Let's come into our imaginary chair. Inhale the arms up, tuck your tailbone under, sit back into your legs, most of the weight on the heels. Inhale back up, exhale, ground the hands, and step or float yourself back into plank. And then coming through your flow, either through knees, chest, and chin, or chaturanga. So from here, shoulders away from the ears, exhale down, and then inhale through. Open the heart, exhale, fall back into child's pose or down dog. Stretching out through the back. Pushing back into the hips, maybe swaying the hips from side to side. And then if you're in child's pose, roll up into tabletop or down dog and walk the legs out. So like you can keep tuck the toes under and then push up through the heel, and you're feeling that stretching through the back of your leg. Yep, so you're pushing into the toes there, and then you're walking like you're pushing out through the heel. Try to keep the hips level, so we're not moving the hips from side to side too much. We're engaging through the core, but we're just feeling the opening through the backs of your legs. Okay, so, and make sure that your wrists, your alignment is correct. Tabletop, wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. If you're in down dog, your wrists will be one hand to out from your shoulders so that you're in the right measurement for plank. Okay, let's do the second side. So we're going to take the left leg now. Inhale, extend that left foot back. Sorry, your right foot, my bad. I left your right. Sorry, second side that we haven't done, so otherwise it's going to feel different. Okay, let's open that hip, point the toes, bend the knee. Square the shoulders. Belly hugs in, trace a circle, knee comes to the same side, elbow or armpit, lift through your core. Inhale back. Open hip, point the toes, bend the knee, square the shoulders, trace the circle. Belly hugs in, knee to opposite side. Knee to opposite elbow. Inhale back. Open hip, point the toes, bend the knee, square the shoulders. Belly hugs in, trace a circle, knee comes to the nose of the forehead. Inhale it back. Open hip, point the toes, bend the knee, square the shoulders. Trace a circle, belly hugs in, step the foot forward in between the hands. High lunge or warrior one. So bring that foot forward, knee stacked above the ankle. And option one, ground that back heel. Option two, coming into a high lunge. Okay, inhale, pushing to big toe pads of the front foot, lifting up. So if you need to, you can ground that back foot so that your heel is slightly, so your heel's on the ground and you're squaring the hips, okay? Otherwise, we're lifting up, tuck your tailbone under, squeeze your glutes, and then doing a little back bend here, opening the heart. All right, inhale, exhale, warrior two. So now we're opening our hips and our shoulders to the long end of the mat. Make sure once again that your knee and ankle are stacked. Pelvic floor is active, lengthening out through the spine, relax your shoulders. Spread your toes wide. So once again, I want to imagine that, see what I'm doing with my hands? I want you to imagine that you're doing that with your feet. So spread the toes and really grip into the earth, feeling that grounding and that connection to the earth, like you're reaching the earth apart with your feet. Pelvic floor is active, lengthening up through the spine, relax your shoulders, take your arms out. Draw your eye gaze just past your fingertips of your right hand. Soften the breath, maybe sink into the legs a little bit more. Keep drawing your front knee out to the right-hand corner of your mat. So opening up through the hips. Make sure that front knee is not rolling inwards. Turn your front palm face up. Inhale. So you're opening up through that right side, reaching it back, sun warrior. Keep the tailbone rolling under. Sucking that back knee up into the thigh. Exhale, forwards, extended angle. So you can reach that hand to the ceiling if it feels tight in the shoulder, otherwise reach it out. Keep the core active, inhaling back. Exhale it forwards. One more, inhaling back. And then exhale forwards. All right, let's inhale back up, warrior one, warrior two. Straighten the front leg triangle, drawing the legs up. Turn your front palm face up. Inhale, sliding forwards. Both legs straight. Exhale, windmill the arms. So straighten both legs. Front leg is straight now. Straighten your right leg. Suck your knees up into the thighs, extending the energy upwards into those top fingertips. So keep lifting up through the insides of your legs and then rolling the tops of your thighs in towards each other. So we're drawing up and then we're rolling the thighs in, lengthening the spine and roll your bottom ribs forwards. Okay, from here, we're going to take that hand forwards, widen out through your right hip, draw the big thigh bone back into the hip socket. Exhale, bring the hands down. Pyramid pose or half Hanuman. Square your hips to the short end of the mat. So from here, you can maybe just bring that back heel in or maybe come onto your back knee. Take a few breaths here and keep squaring the hips and the shoulders to the short end of the mat. If you like, Sarah, keep the belly on the thigh, and as you exhale, you're melting back. And then inhale, lifting up through the heart. So I want you to feel that hip, the big thigh bone, really nice and secure in the hip joint. Okay, so exhaling back, inhaling up. So maybe do about 3 here, and then you can come all the way back, keeping the belly on the thigh, and then just resting forward, resting the head down. So only come as low as it's comfortable. So you could be here as long as you're feeling that stretch. 1, 2, you're gonna keep the front knee bent slightly if you need to. Inhale, lengthen the heart. Exhale, coming back. Inhale, you can bend the knee if you need to. Reaching out, flatten the back, and then exhale. All right, and then a little bit more lift through your toes and draw your toes back towards you. Sorry, lift the ball of your foot. That extends that stretch out through your calf. Okay, let's ground the toes. Bring your hands forwards. Bring your back knee off the floor and come to the front of your mat. Feet hip width together. Exhale, forward fold. All right. Bend the knees, roll up through the spine, 1 vertebra at a time. Hands along the sides, gathering the energy. Exhale, back to the heart. Take a few breaths here, softening the breath, softening the eye gaze. Okay, then you feel like your breath and energy has returned to normal. Exhale, release the hands. We'll do a little flow. Inhale up. Exhale, bend the knees, widen the hips, forward fold. Inhale, halfway. Flatten out from the back, so hands can be on shins, or you can draw the line out from your toes. Hands can be in line with the toes. And keep the back flat. All right, exhale down. Inhale, lead the heart to back bend. So bending the knees, head comes up, heart comes up. Hands along the sides. If you have any lower back issues, just stay with a supported variation. Okay, otherwise, come into your full back bend. Hands above your head. Keep the upper arms in line with the ears. Lifting up through the insides of your legs. Roll the tops of your thighs in towards each other. And then we're squeezing the glutes and tucking the tailbone under, hips forward, shoulders back. Make sure you do not feel any crunching through the lower back. So inhale, we're lengthening up and breathing to the front of the body. As you exhale, keep rolling your tailbone under. All right, belly hugs in. Inhale, back up. Exhale, bend the knees, widen the hips. Keep that TBA active. Belly hugs into the spine, forward fold. Inhale, halfway. Release out of your lower back. Lengthen your heart forwards. So we want a flat back here. So bring your hands onto your shins. Sarah, rather than on your knees, bring your hands onto your shins and sideways lengthen the spine out, widen out through the hips. So you should feel a really nice release, widen the collarbones. Exhale, hands behind. Inhale, drop the bum, imaginary chair for a moment. Okay, exhale down, ground the hands, step or float back into plank. All right, come through your flow. So exhaling down and then inhale, roll through. Open the heart. Exhale, fall back into child's pose or down dog. Stretch out through your back. So relax the head. Try to keep your upper arms in line with the ears. Maybe shake your head from side to side, nod it up and down. Keep pushing back into the hips. Think about melting belly to thighs. If your hamstrings are tight, just lift your heels, bend your knees, and fold your belly to your thighs. Okay, let's come into camel pose. Come back down onto your knees. Inhale up. All right. So we're going to do 3 sets of this. Let's start with the toes tucked under. And you're going to bring your hands. So option 1, hands on the hips. Option 2, bring the heels of your hands to support into your lower back. Option 3, reverse your grip to get a little bit more opening up through the thoracic where your fingers are pointing up towards your shoulders. Okay, so we're lengthening up, lifting up through the end, lengthen through your spine, lift up through the insides of your legs. Tuck your tailbone under, roll the tops of your thighs and squeeze your glutes, draw your hips forward and start to arch yourself back. So we want to ideally keep the hips anchored. So bring your hands onto your back to support. Sarah, bring your hands onto your back. Yep. So as we inhale, we're lifting the ribs away from the hips. As you exhale, keep rolling your tailbone under. We're going to hang out here for a few breaths. So inhale, breathing into the hips, breathing into the abdomen, into the heart. Keep the tip of your tongue on the roof of the mouth. If it feels okay for your neck, maybe extending that arch all the way back. Keep widening the shoulders, sliding those shoulders away from the ears, squeezing through the backs of your shoulder blades. So feeling that deep squeeze through the kidneys and adrenals. Tip of the tongue is on the roof of the mouth. When you're ready, hug your belly in, inhale yourself back up. Untuck your toes, bend the knees, widen the hips, sink back into your heels. Bring the toes together, knees together. Lengthen out through your spine, bring your hands out, stack one fist on top of the other, and rest your forehead on the fist, keeping the tip of your tongue resting on the roof of the mouth just behind your two front teeth, so that your energy circuits are connected. And I just want you to, so stack one fist on top of the other, kind of like you're doing hot potato. So rather than just one fist, we want two fists, and then that way your head and heart is at the same height, so all your blood and energy can equalize. Lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders. Want to bring your hips all the way back towards your heels, so that we want a nice straight line across the back. And just breathing into the back of the body. So we've done this intense squeeze through our kidneys, our adrenals at the back, and all this opening up through the front. So as I was saying earlier, the kidneys are wet. Stay relaxed. I just talk people through it. The kidneys are wet. Sometimes we worry in our fear in our life, and also our adrenals when we are in a super stress mode. They come into this adrenal overdrive. So we're squeezing everything out, and then when we release, sometimes you feel warmth, tingling, or coolness, and just breathing into that space and allowing all the blood and energy to assimilate, and allowing everything just to release and reset. Okay. When you're ready, we're going to come back into open child. So from here, we're going to take the hands out, bring your knees out, and then just rest your forehead, sway the hips from side to side. Release out through your back. And then keeping the chin tucked in, we're going to bring the hands in, roll yourself back up, come into our second set, shoulders away from the ears. Okay, come back up onto your knees and feet hip width, tucking the toes under. So this variation now, if you have hands on hips, maybe you can bring your heels of the hands supporting. If you had heels of the hands like this, maybe you can reverse your grip. Okay, and then from here, as we start to lift up, if it feels okay for you, maybe you can reach the heels. Okay, so it's not about reaching the heels, but it's about, so it's not about touching your feet, it's about finding the variation that feels best for you and maintaining that space through your lower back. Okay, so lengthening up through the spine, inhale. As you exhale, keep rolling the tops of your thighs in, tucking your tailbone under, hips forward and shoulders back. Breathing into the front of the body. So with every inhale, we're lifting up through the ribs. As you exhale, keep tucking the tailbone under. So if the heels are accessible this morning, you're holding onto the heels. And then I can't see your feet wanted, but if you like, you can, if it feels okay, you can untuck the toes. So keep breathing into the front of the body. As we inhale, we're lifting the ribs off the hips. As we exhale, keep rolling the tailbone under. So feeling that opening, breathing into the hips, the abdomen, through the solar plexus and the heart, and maybe through the throat. The tongue stays resting on the roof of the mouth behind the two front teeth. Okay, one more breath here. When you're ready, if your hands are on your heels, bring them back to your back. Belly hugs in, inhale back up. Toes together, widen out through the hips. Bring the knees together. Lengthening out through the spine. Bring your opposite fist on top and rest your forehead onto the fist. Keep the tip of the tongue resting on the roof of the mouth behind the two front teeth. Keeping the bum on the heels, big toes are touching, so all the energy is nicely contained. If you can, bring your elbows in as well, so everything is really nicely contained in this position. And starting to deepen the breath, really breathing into the back of the body. Flooding that space with oxygen and energy, all that area we have been compressing, and as you exhale, just softening and releasing. So not only have we been squeezing out through the back, we've been opening up through the front. So as I was saying before, with the hips, our hips are where we're grounding. It's our source of our creative energy, where our reproductive glands are also our source of our power. When we want to pick something up, when we want to throw a kick or a punch, that power needs to come from our hips. So sometimes we might feel locked up in the hips, and we're opening through that space, also opening up through our digestive area, which is a lot to do with not only digestion on a physical level, but also the way we can digest things and that gut intelligence. So we're opening through that, our solar plexus, our personal sun, and also through our heart. So all this is going on. So just if you're feeling any sensations, any thoughts coming up, just breathing into them. And as you exhale, just melting down and just allowing energy to return to normal and allowing everything to assimilate. Okay, when your breath and energy feels like it's returned to normal, let's come to open child. So from our fists, we're going to just walk the hands out, bring the forehead on the floor, widen the knee, and then just swaying the hips from side to side. Release that through your back in child's pose. And then when you're ready, walk the hands back in, roll back up through your spine, and come into our third and final set. Lengthen the spine, shoulders away from the ears, coming back up. And so find your option here. So any of the options that I've given before. Lengthening up through the spine, keep rolling the tops of your thighs in towards each other, tuck your tailbone under, hips forward, shoulders back. So if you've got your hands on your lower back, keep lifting up through the back of your heart, rolling those shoulders away from the ears and squeezing the elbows back behind you. So you're feeling that beautiful opening up through the chest. Through the ribs as you inhale, exhale, keep rolling the tailbone under. Breathing into the front of the body, opening up, flooding more fresh oxygen, energy through all those areas, your hips, abdomen, solar plexus, heart and throat. And when you're ready, your head up. If your hands are on your heels, hands back to the hips. Inhale back up, belly hugs in, widen through the hip crease, melt your bum back to your heels, toes together, knees together, lengthen the spine, and then melt yourself forwards. The opposite twist on top. Lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, and tip of the tongue resting on the roof of the mouth just behind the two front teeth. Breathing into the body here. Taking note of how you're feeling. When you're ready, sway the hips from side to side, release the hands, come back into open child. Bring the hands back out, bring the knees out wide, and gently release the back. Sway the hips from side to side, stretching out through the back. And then when you're ready, walk the hands back in, roll up through the spine, lengthen up, shoulders away from the ears. Right, we're going to make our way onto the back. We're going to finish off with a nice deep lumbar twist. So come back onto your back, and then when you're ready, you can just hug the knees in, rock from side to side. And then I'm not going to mirror for this one, so we're going to release the left leg, hug your right knee in. Okay, widening out through the hips, inhale, exhale, hugging that right knee in towards your belly. So I'm not mirroring you, so hug your right knee in, because on the right side we have our ascending colon, left side is your descending colon. Okay, so we want to start to move everything through. So as I was saying before, we're opening up through the digestive, and now I'm just giving a little massage. So inhale, keep the shoulders relaxed. As you exhale, maybe just hugging that knee a little bit closer in. You can dorsal flex the straight left leg. So as you push the heel away, draw your toes back towards you, push out through the two inner corners of that foot. You feel that stretch out through the hip flexors
and through the hip on that and the groin through that left side as well. Okay, let's release the foot and then bring your right hand out by your shoulder. Pop your hips slightly across to your right. So keep the knee bent. We're just popping the hips across to the right. So when you twist, your spine is going to be straight. Okay, take your knee back to hip height, holding onto the outside of the knee with your left hand. So right hand is by the shoulder, left hand is holding the knee. Inhale as you exhale, hug your belly in, and we're gently guiding that knee across the body. So you're bringing that knee to the left side. Lengthen your spine as you inhale, as you exhale, hug your belly in, and then just feeling that nice release out through your back. Just breathing into it. Eye gaze wherever's comfortable. You can look to your right hand, you can look to the ceiling, or you can look into the same direction as your knee. Keep lengthening from the base of your spine to the crown of the head as you inhale. As you exhale, hugging the belly in, and maybe just gently pushing that left hand against the knee or thigh to deepen into your twist. So releasing out through the back here from all those back bends that we have been doing. And then when you feel like you can't go, so if your back is quite open, you might be able to keep the shoulder grounded and get the knee all the way to the floor. Otherwise, if you feel like you can't go any deeper, you're going to just turn your palm facing up of your right hand. And then you have the option of just keeping the hand there depending on how high your knee is off the ground. Maybe bring your hand onto your lower back. Okay, so your right hand comes onto your lower back. Slide your left hand up into your hip. Inhale, and as you exhale, you're going to hug your belly into the spine. Using the heel of your hand, you're going to gently pull the belly into the spine as we push out diagonally across the back. So we're pushing in this direction. And we want to try to get that right knee all the way to touch the floor while keeping your belly hugging into the spine. Okay, so you might feel a little adjustment or click in the lower back, and then it's just air. So we're just getting a really deep lumbar twist here. Keep the belly hugging into the spine to protect your spine. All right, when your knee has touched the ground, hug the belly in and very slowly inhale yourself back to center. Bring the foot in the middle, hips in the middle, hug your right knee in and bring your left knee to join it. Gently rock yourself from side to side, hugging both knees into the belly and just massaging out through the spine. Keep the shoulders, neck, and head relaxed on the floor. Breathing into the back, just massaging it out, resetting the spine, and then just stack your knees over the hips, circle the knees a few times in one direction. And then back the other way, massage it out. Check in with your body, notice how you're feeling. Maybe one side feels a little bit more open than the other. And then when you're ready, we're going to extend the right leg, hug the left knee in. So we're doing the second side. Lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders. Inhale as you exhale, just widening out through the hip crease, hugging that knee and thigh a little bit closer in towards the belly. So we're feeling that massaging now through the squeeze and massaging through the descending colon, maybe extending out through your other foot and pushing the heel away, draw the toes back towards you as you feel that opening up through the hip, through the groin on the right side. Keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears. And then let's release the foot. Take your left hand out to the side. And then we're going to bring the foot back to the floor. We just want to pop the hips across to your left first, rather than twisting straight away. So when you twist, your spine will be nice and straight. Take your hold of your right hand with your left knee with your right hand. Inhale. And as you exhale, pull the belly in. And starting to twist. So lengthen through the spine as you inhale. Exhale, belly hugs in. And then deepening into your twist. I'm going to turn to the other side so you can see my back. So this is the second side that we are doing. So you should be, this is your left knee. All right, and then, so once again, if your back is open, you will be able to get the knee all the way to the floor. Otherwise, when you feel you can't go any deeper, you can let that shoulder lift. Maybe bringing your left hand onto your back. And then inhale as you exhale, hug the belly in. And then we're going to start to gently push against your back and just get deep into your stretch, giving yourself a little adjustment here. So we are, stay in your pose. I'm just going to come up so I can show you a few lines. So that you're pushing diagonally out, but then your left thigh with your right hand, you want to internally rotate that thigh. And you're going to start to feel that really starting to help deepen it. So that right hand
from your knee is sliding all the way up into your thigh, and you're internally rotating that thigh at the same time. All right, when your knee has touched the ground, hug your belly in, and we're going to inhale back to center. Moving really nice and slow. Feet in the middle, hips in the middle. Hug that left knee in, bring your right knee to join it. Rock yourself from side to side, massage out through the back. And circle your knees in one direction, back the other way. And then bring your knees apart, circle them both in towards each other, opposite directions. And then back the other way. All right, bring your feet together, hold on to your outside edges of your feet, come back into butterfly. So knees are out wide, and we're just holding onto the feet like we did earlier. So, feet together, and then you're holding on in between. Bring your hands in between your feet. So rather than outside, bring the head up. And then keep the shoulders relaxed away from the ears, relax your head, keep widening out through the hips. So you're in this butterfly position and just rocking from side to side. Maybe you push your elbows out against your thighs and just feeling a nice opening up and through your hips, and also massaging out through your back here. Now, from here, you can stay in this butterfly position. Otherwise, maybe hold on to the outside edges of your feet and peel your feet apart into happy baby. And so from here, try to bring the heels over the, stack your heels as much as you can over the knees, widen out through the hips, rocking from side to side. Notice your tailbone is rolling under, roll your tailbone back towards the floor. So you're feeling this really nice massaging out through the back. And then when you're ready, release the feet, extend them out, give them a little shake out in the hip sockets, windscreen wipers with the feet, little shimmy out through the body, and then relax yourself back onto the mat. Just take a few breaths here. So have your feet just a little bit wider than hip width, letting the feet fall out to the sides. I can hear the rain. So if anyone's cold at home, feel free to go with a blanket or something. And then if you need more lower back, tuck your tailbone under, relax it back down, lengthen the spine, widen the shoulders. Slide the shoulders back down away from the ears into their sockets. Bring your hands by the hips and then turning the palms of the hands facing up, fingers lightly curled if it's comfortable. Opening up through the back of the neck, maybe tucking the chin in slightly, and then bring the tip of your tongue to the roof of the mouth just behind the two front teeth so your energy circles are connected. Keeping the spine nice and tall, the neck is long, and tip of the tongue resting on the roof of the mouth behind the two front teeth. And staying in your pose. And from here, just gently closing down the eyes and just deepening your breath. So awesome work this morning, guys. And so from here, we're just going to take a little bit of time just to allow everything to integrate. So just start to come back into your nice, deep body breaths like we did at the start of the class. Drawing that breath all the way down into the hips, into the belly. Again, feeling that expansion of the belly like a balloon. Belly filling up the lungs, bottom, middle, top, side, back into the heart. So exhale, melting down. Breathing into the back of the body. So we've been doing all this compression. So we're breathing into the lower back, into the middle back, side body, up into your upper back and shoulders. And as you exhale, just let everything soften down. Maybe you can widen out across the back. And then as you exhale, just melting down into the earth. Allow the earth to hold you, support you. Drawing another deep, beautiful breath all the way down past your hips, your glutes, into your legs, your feet, and the tips of the toes. And as you exhale, just let everything go, softening down into the earth. The earth to hold you, support you. Perhaps another deep, beautiful breath all the way down past your shoulders, your arms, into the hands and the fingertips. As you exhale, just let everything melt down. Any weight on your shoulders, just melt down into the earth, into the earth as compost. And then perhaps another deep, beautiful breath around your shoulders, your neck, your throat, your head and your face. As you exhale, just let everything go. Softening through the shoulders, softening through the neck and throat.
the jaw, softening through the cheeks. Just feeling the eyes heavy in their sockets. Softening through the eyebrow center. And then just lengthening up through the crown of the head. The tongue stays resting on the roof of the mouth behind the two front teeth so that the energy circuits are connected. Keep deepening the breath. Check in with your body. Just noticing any subtle changes. Maybe this is your time, your practice. So if you want to relax in Shavasana for a little bit longer, please feel free to take that time. Otherwise, feel like you can gently start to bring some movement back in, maybe starting to bring the fingers and toes, or circling the wrists and the ankles. Maybe starting to stretch out, taking the arms out to the sides or above the head. Maybe out into all different directions, like a nice luxurious stretch when you wake up in the morning. There is no right or wrong. Just use whatever I'm saying purely as a suggestion. You might want to hug your knees into the chest or give yourself a nice hug, perhaps rocking from side to side or circling the knees. When you're ready, just gently come onto your side for a moment in a nice nurturing fetal position. We want to just, from this really relaxed state, we want to just really ease ourselves. So from Shavasana, which is our corpse pose, it's like coming back into fetal position. It's like we're being reborn back into the world. So just bring that underneath the head, keep yourself nice and relaxed, push into your top hand, straighten your top leg, and slowly support yourself to come back up into seated. Okay, so whatever's a comfortable seated position, lengthen the spine, relax the shoulders, keep the tip of your tongue on the roof of the mouth. Just take a few nice deep grounding breaths here into the body, and just checking in with how you're feeling. The breath and energy to return to normal with the spine nice and tall, and hopefully feeling a little bit more relaxed and open than when you first began. Breath and energy has returned to normal. Let's gently keep the eyes open. Inhale, bring the hands in prayer at the heart. Breathing into the heart center and sealing our practice here, and then gently bowing your heads to each other, saying namaste, meaning the divinity honors, acknowledges divinity. Namaste. All right, thank you, ladies. Have a beautiful day. If you guys have questions or feedback, let me know. Otherwise, enjoy your day. Stay nice and warm. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you. If we are not back, maybe see you back at the club hopefully next week, but otherwise I will see you guys maybe on Sunday. If we are still in lockdown, Sunday morning there's a 9:30 class as well as this Wednesday class, but otherwise hopefully we see you guys in live at the club. Okay, all right, thank you.
See you, Wanty.
Good Wanty.
Thank you, Trish. That was great.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. I'm sorry I ran a little